One word to describe my art. Evolving. That keeps the door open. Evolving. My art is evolving. I'm evolving. I'm growing. So it has to grow with me. Well, I'm a dancer. That's the first love. I dance with Decidedly Jazz Danceworks. I'm a company dancer with them for 8 years. I'm also a choreographer. I love creating new works often. I have a small collective on my own called Casa de Naz. And then I'm also an educator. I teach dance to youth through Diversity Performing Arts Club of Calgary. And here and there, I like to make a short film or two also within Casa de Naz. So dancer, performer, choreographer, filmmaker, all of that in one. My name is Sabrina Naz Comanescu. I was born in Calgary, Alberta. My mother is from Trinidad and my father is from Romania. How was it growing up in Calgary? That's a big question. You know, I feel really fortunate to have grown up within a community that was so warm and accepting. So I'm talking about the Caribbean community. I had a lot of volunteered family, a lot of volunteered aunties and uncles and cousins. So that made the early years enjoyable and warm. But definitely, like, there was some things, some road bumps, especially during school. Through elementary, I was maybe the only one that looked like me in the class, which wasn't crazy for me, but maybe for my peers. The community is what held me and kept me focused and helped me with those sort of identity questions in regards to race and growing up biracial and all that. So, I mean, in a nutshell, that's kind of how it was.
Does Amaya, hi. Felicia, does Amaya have a long sleeve white bodysuit?
You know, I have to speak about my mom because really without her, I wouldn't have discovered dance at all. She was a dancer in Trinidad. She focused a lot on the folk dances of the island. She performed in Best Village, which is a huge folk dance competition down there, competition celebration. And she brought a lot of that information up to Canada with her. So, with that, she was very active in the community, choreographing for different groups, and would bring me along with her. Like, I like to say it was a form of childcare, something like that, growing up. So, naturally, it was just a part of life. It was in high school is when I really decided, like, okay, this is what's going to carry me forward. This is what I want to be when I grow up. This is fun. This is fun. Love that. So good. Oh yes. So then you kiss my teeth. I come from a very folk, Caribbean folk, funky, groovy dance background. I did not do competition growing up, all community based training. Often when I think about my training, I'm like, it wasn't a dance class. I never went into a dance class. It was always a rehearsal because, oh, we have a show. So even as a kid, it was like, come learn these moves. This is what they mean. We have a show. And like I said, it was all based in Afro-Caribbean folklore, grounded movement. So then, when I found myself in high school, which is a performing arts high school with a focus on ballet and contemporary and modern, I felt very out of place, out of sort. The challenges were, how do I put my groovy, grounded body into these dance styles that aren't grounded. I mean, you can feel a sense of groundedness in ballet, totally. You know, we could stay here for hours talking about that. But I was coming from an Afrocentric background and then stepping into more Eurocentric classical training. That was a bit tricky. And when I say a bit, I mean like a lot tricky. So how did I overcome it? Just kept going, you know, keep going to class. The internal monologue has to be one of, I can do this. Why do I love this? Keep returning to that. I love this because. And I had amazing educators, amazing teachers who were patient, who could recognize what I was going through, the imposter syndrome of, oh my God, I can't tendu. What is a pointed foot? What's a pirouette? Oh my gosh. You know, I had fantastic teachers, Margot McDermott, Jason Stroh, just to name a few, that like would literally hold my hand across the floor and said, okay, come on. Because they saw something in me and they wanted to help me. So I overcame it with positive thinking, positive reinforcement. My community, I would leave school and go and dance in the community group that was focused in the styles that I felt most at home in, and educators. And my mom was always like, you're gonna be okay, keep going. Oh, okay. I'll go back to class then, you know. What are some of the stereotypes that I've heard about our community in regards to art within the Black community? That there is none. I mean, I keep hearing that there's from like if I go to New York, if I go to Toronto, if I go to Montreal, even Vancouver, what I hear is that they don't know that there's even anything here, which is really surprising because I'm very busy all the time here in Calgary, Alberta, you know, and so I go, what have you heard? That's the main stereotype. Are there Black people there? Wait, you guys have a Carafest? You guys have a Caravana? No, it's called Carafest, okay? But yes, we do have a Caribbean parade. There's Caribbean people there? Yes, hello, you know, like, I get a lot of people not knowing. And I get a lot of joy in saying, well, come on down, and did you know? And da-da-da. And I mean, I'm not gonna like crown myself ambassador. There are so many ambassadors, but in that moment, I feel like, okay, I'm an ambassador. I'm making myself an ambassador in this moment. Let me tell you more about what we've got going on, you know, because we have a lot. It's rich here. Do those stereotypes affect me as a creative? Absolutely. I think not so much now, but before 25, I don't know, or, you know, fresh coming out of high school, definitely. I think I was like, forget this place, you know, like I, I was that person. I spent a lot of time in New York throughout high school and junior high every summer. I started traveling to New York by myself at 16, you know, so I got a taste of what a cosmopolitan city is like with a bigger dance scene. It affected me negatively early on, but I think what really started to change the narrative for me is realizing that, well, there's a lot of like beauty in a blank canvas. And, you know, not to say that Calgary is a blank, like there's a lot going on, but At the time, a decade ago for me, in realizing that, that was exciting to me. I was like, oh, you know, I can do things here that are happening in New York, and I can sort of pioneer that idea or introduce that idea or just share, more so than like, yeah, what's going on in New York, right? You can go start things in New York. I'm not saying that you can't leave and, create something elsewhere. No, but there was something that was needed here. There was more space available here, and that's exciting. And I took a lot of inspiration from my mom in that department too, because she came here and there was less black people and less opportunities, And she was like, "We're gonna make it work. We're gonna create this, create that, create that." So, over time, it became more of an invitation and more exciting than like something that deterred me.
We always have circle time. We always have check-in time, right? We have different sayings. Um, there are rules around language. Um, they are not allowed to start any sentence with "I can't."
They owe 25 cents.
Yes, I charge them for every negative. And what was the script that we learned?
For the good of all and to the harm of none, I am.
And then where are we looking, Miss Jennifer, here? What's happening? Where do they look?
Chin up. It's like
It's feeling proud.
it's all elegant, right? Yeah.
Where do they look?
Should have had.
Straight ahead. Oh, good. So here. Who's my biggest inspiration? I mean, yeah, I've been talking about her a lot now. It's my mom. I think she's so cool. She, in Trinidad, she had some odds stacked up against her, and she persevered, and still she rose. Like, yeah, she's number one inspiration. Made a lot out of very little, and how can you not just applaud that and go, cool, okay, and be inspired by that.
All the Caribbean festivals.
Wait, right. Do you have one that
We-
doesn't? Do you have ones that just go straight back?
We have the opportunity to perform. This is what makes us unique, right?
Diversity. What can I start with? 20 plus years. My mom and I, we go back and forth about how old the group actually is because we take it off of my younger brother's age. So he's 22. So I feel like, oh my gosh, with a newborn baby, did you create this collective or did you wait till he was a year? So we go back and forth about how old the group is. But 20 plus years. What it represents to me is legacy. Like, it has time on its side, and that's cool because we live in this world where everything is so instant and so quick, and everyone has a brand new idea, and it starts and it's over. But consistency has been key with the group, so I'm so proud of that. It's not for profit. It's helping kids find themselves through the performing arts. It's not that we're trying to build, Oscar winners. It's not like we're going to the Emmys tomorrow. It's just about having a safe space for them to grow, and the arts is a part of it. So that really helped me as a youth because I came up through that group as well. Especially in those really tender years, those high school years, it was so great to have dance practice on a Friday night. That was my Friday night. We gotta go to dance practice. Here we go. We're getting ready for Taste of Jamaica. We're getting ready for Cara Fest. We're getting ready for Global Fest, Reggae Fest. Like that was such a highlight. The excitement going up to Edmonton for Carrie West. Like, that's huge. It kind of held me together. It's a big part of my identity. I don't know if I can really imagine my life without the group, even now. It helps me grow and just feel confident. It created a sense of community. Um, I got a lot of sisters in that group, and a lot of us, we still communicate even to this day. So the group represents a lot, for sure. That's what I'm saying. Okay, so how do you make it like you're feeling like you're looking? Even
continuously.
Yes. 0, 2, 3, 4. Bom, bom, bom. Shot. Tap, tap. Gong, gong, gong. Pop. Tap, tap. Gong, gong, gong. Dee da, dee da, dee da, dee da. Da, da, da. Ha, hey, ha, hey. And the only thing I want to say about this is that directing, choreograph, and teaching. How does it feel? Directing can be the most exciting and fulfilling thing because you get to make something from scratch sometimes. And well, that's always fun. And sometimes it's the most terrifying thing because you're like, oh gosh, the ship, I'm driving the ship, what's happening? I can go back and forth between those two places sometimes, which I invite, that's okay. It's okay to have a day of what's happening. If I ask myself that question, I go, we'll figure it out. You got to figure it out. And I find that it's hard because he drops out of time. So you kind of have to measure with your body. But if you can anticipate that, that's like delicious. Come on. So I'm just going to say 5, 6, 7. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. Teaching. What an honor. I feel like it's a big responsibility because often when I'm teaching something, I'm sharing something that's so much bigger than me. I'm sharing culture, right? When I teach my dance hall classes or my soca classes or even my jazz classes, I go, yeah, I'm not just teaching steps, right? I'm teaching culture. I'm teaching customs. I'm teaching ideas, sharing ideas. I often like to say now, in this chapter, in this age, it's more about sharing because to teach a culture, that's big, especially if you're a guest within that, right? Like I'm Canadian. Jazz is rooted in African American roots. That's on the other side of the border, right? I am somewhat a guest in that, but I'm very connected to it, and through reverence, I'm going to share what I know. And then how does it feel to be a dancer? Sometimes that's the easiest one because I am the Play-Doh. I am the canvas. So especially if you really believe in the mission and vision of who is in front of the room, like that's really cool. It just feels right. It feels rich. I feel like, especially with jazz, because my focus, my main passion is within jazz movement. It feels better in a more mature body. 30 is a little bit different than 20, but it's good. I feel like I'm in tune with myself. Dance helps me feel in tune with my body. Dance helps me express without having to say too much. It's like that's the voice. That's my voice. That's when I feel kind of heard the most clear is when I'm dancing. So I love it. And I pray to God that I can continue dancing for a very long time as this body grows and matures. There's a bunch of things about being a dancer that can be incredibly difficult, but I love it. It's kind of like a very healthy drug. I'm very pulled towards jazz movement, vernacular jazz, groovy grounded, connected to the roots, jazz. I'm making a piece for a show that's coming up, and usually it starts with the music, What is the music telling me to do? I usually wait for the music to invite me in. Sometimes it's a personal story that I'm like, oh, how can I tell this abstractly through the moment? It can be an image, it can be a type of fashion, like there's really many ways in for me, which is exciting or sometimes overwhelming. Like, oh my God, there's too many ideas. Now we gotta take it back, peel it back. But once I'm locked in, I feel like it's just about sort of trusting what's coming out. Yeah, sometimes I can make a little formula for myself. Okay, so all the movement has to have drops in it. Okay, great. Or sometimes it's really just how I'm feeling in the moment. I love working with the Decidedly Jazz Dance Works company because I've grown up with a lot of those guys, so I feel really comfortable to just like experiment and show up. But also, when working with professionals, you want to try and come in with something concrete and planned. So that pressure of like, okay, I'm working with professionals, I need to honor their time is great because then I go, I gotta prep and make stuff, make something. I know that in processes, sometimes there can be some storming before you norm, which can be an invitation. I mean, as I get older, I go, okay, I'm feeling pretty helter-skelter. I don't know what's going on. That's good. I'm at least now, in this chapter of my life, when I hit a roadblock, I go, okay, this is okay, But yeah, there's so many entrance points into how I like to make art. Is it a film? Okay, it's a dance. Usually, if it's a film, it's going to be a dance film. All right, what's the relationship between the camera and the dancers? Is there a relationship there? How can I honor that? It isn't? Okay, what else? Like there's something in a question that's helpful too. Don't switch blocking at the end. That's the only thing that kind of needs to change. The relationship between my art and my mental health it's a long-term relationship. I know I would be greatly affected if I could not participate in art or create art. I think it's a cornerstone. It's a big part of me. I also know that sometimes stepping away and not dancing for a while is very good for me. So it's 50-50. It's just like a long-term relationship. Sometimes a little space in the relationship is okay. So we just had Christmas break. I didn't really dance that much. But coming back to work, day one, dancing felt amazing. Rest is amazing. Just figuring out balance. I think it comes down to balance, really. I'm gonna smile now, and it's not like a forced smile because the dance is rooted in like I'm feeling good. It's like I feel great. Yes. Look at this skirt. Look at this movement. Look at what I'm about to do now. So it's not like my back hurts. It's like I'm actually the flyest. Mental health is very important. What are we without our minds? It all starts in the mind. It all starts in the soul. It's good to be able to compartmentalize and, decide, okay, today is a rainy day, but let's work. That's great. It's a great tool. And then also, but don't forget, you gotta deal with it. It's important. Like, take a day off. You know, a sick day is not just because you've got the cold or the flu. Sometimes a sick day is, I need a moment. What would I say to the Black youth watching? Well, I would say that you're perfect. Like, everything's gonna be okay, which is a saying that's a little mantra that I like to tell myself. And sometimes it's not gonna be okay, and that's okay. Life is hard, but we need those rainy days and we need those sunny days. It's okay to feel a whole spectrum of emotions. And as we experience those emotions, be the solutionist. How can I work through this rather than just hunkering down and giving up in that emotion and surrendering to that emotion? Depression is a real thing. Absolutely. Let's not mistake it too much for sadness. Sometimes we have sad days, right? We can work through these days. We can work through those emotions. Take time. Take time to think through ideas, to sit with things, right? Think before you speak. Time is like the great equalizer, right? Everybody, Oprah and Beyonce and I, we have something in common, which is 24 hours. We can't lay back and let time flow all the time, but sometimes you can. Sometimes we can luxuriate and take time, and sometimes you need to move fast. I say all of that to say balance. In that moment, or whatever brings you to this moment, this is where you're going. So I feel like you should go back. My hopes for the Black community in Calgary. Just, yes, just grow, just continue, flourish. It's all here, you know? We have it all, really. I believe in that. There are so many people that were here before us that have worked so hard to make today possible, right? So let's thrive and let's be here for one another, and let's continue to dream and create, because that's what they did. They, as in the people back in the day. So we got to do that too for the next generation. I stand on so many shoulders as a woman of color here in Calgary, Alberta, you know? So what am I going to do with the blessings and the things that the elders have done, right? And how am I going to pass that on? That's my wish for the community, to think consciously like that, right? To ask those questions. What have they done and what can I do for the next generation? I love this word Sankofa, the bird that looks back as they're going forward, right? You bring the team with you, and then you also throw back as well the blessings. You bring the blessings and you throw the blessings back. Listen to Soca. Soca is so great. Soca will get you out of any slumber, any bad day. What? Just get you a cup of coffee and some Soca. You're feeling bad, just put on some Asha Montana. It'll feel so good. And it'll also help the genre grow. So that's what we love, right? 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna just stop you right there. It's okay. You gotta. I know who she's looking at. She's looking at her girl. I think the fact that I am a full-time artist, I work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I dance all day. That, to me, I go, what a blessing. Thank you, God. I am proud of myself that I can do this. And I mean, I always knew that it was going to be a thing. I can't imagine my life not having it in the center and focusing on it. But the fact that it's really happened, very grateful. I love making short films. I made a short film that went on its own little international tour to Europe, to the States, all over Canada. That was really cool. I was like, that's cool. The name of that, Bonum, It is a short dance film, so I'm really passionate about capturing movement through film. Because why not? You can tell a story through dance. I'm very proud that I've been able to keep my mother's legacy going through Diversity Performing Arts Club of Calgary. Like, I think that group is very important for youth. You to find yourself through the arts, come on, and accessible in the way that it is, meeting kids where they're at, mentally, emotionally, socioeconomically, it's very important. And I'm proud that 20 plus years later, it's still kicking. I pray and hope that I can continue to do everything that I'm doing now, but just amplified. I think growth is really important. So my hopes are to just make more dances. Maybe those dances turn into shows. Oh, I would love that so much. Maybe those short films turn into longer films and features. How exciting, right? My hopes are that this vessel is strong enough to keep going and keep dancing and keep creating, to create impactful art that can inspire those younger than me and older than me and with me, I love that. Let's make more art.